Hi and welcome to the second video of drawing Genshin Impact characters with modern outfits. I'm May and this is the second part, and today we're going to look at 3 more drawings of characters with modern outfits. So let's get started. Firstly we have Razor, and for him I went with a sitting pose where he would be sitting on the floor with one hand on his leg and the other one kind of above his knee. I also tried some different hand variations. And I already made the sketches for the poses before I started recording, and I wanted to include some from below and above as well. For his outfit, I added some gloves where the finger ends would be differently long. The index finger would be completely covered up while the other fingers had some free space. I just wanted to include some kind of special glove for this. Then he's wearing a jacket and a hoodie underneath. He also has long jeans and sneakers that don't have laces, but these other things where you close them. What I struggled with a lot was his long hair, to make it look nice and also where it would be placed. In general, I haven't drawn long hair that much, but I tried to include it here. Since I imagine that Razor would probably just wear his hair open, or maybe he would also braid it, but I'm not sure about that. For his palette I went with a mainly orange and brown one, but I also included orange and then blue and green, but I also wanted to include some yellow. However, it only ended up being on the necklace. I probably wanted to include too many colors. I often changed up the colors during the process to figure out if I could include all of them, but in the end I just went with not really using yellow. Overall, with the palettes and outfits I tried to include a variety of them. And I think in school Razor would kind of be always late, and he would also be shy. He'd probably not necessarily be lazy, but he'd just accidentally forget about things and be a little helpless sometimes. I also think he could be a nerd, and maybe he would be really athletic. Maybe sports would be the subject where he really excels at, since he often goes into nature in his free time or something like that. And when drawing long hair in general, I like to first draw the hair on the head and then just add the long hair on a separate layer so I can easily adjust it. Especially for hairstyles like in Genshin Impact, where they have kind of this basic hairstyle for the head and then the long hair is kind of separate. I also struggled with how much detail I wanted to include in the long hair to make it match with the shorter part of the hair. Next up we have Bennett, and for him I wanted to do a pose from above. I struggled with drawing the hand that would be kind of a little foreshortened and at the top, and in general making the pose look nice. I don't really like that much how it turned out in the end. I don't really know if it's correct the way it is. For the left hand I wanted it to be an open hand, but wanted to make sure it aligned nicely with the rest of the body. For this I tried to figure out how rotated it should be and how far the fingers should be apart. And I often had to correct the face. Often when you draw for too long you don't see the mistakes you make, or when you're not mirroring your canvas. I sometimes then took a break or did something different and then came back to the drawing and corrected it. For his outfit, he has a t-shirt with an asymmetric overall, and this overall has shorts, and then he also has boots and these fingerless gloves. What I struggled with the most while drawing were probably the folds, especially when drawing flowy clothes. I struggled with the folds on the shorts since it would be from above, but then there would also be this lifted leg. It was kind of difficult to figure out. For his palette, I went with a brown, yellow, green and a little orange palette. It's a warm palette and I normally wouldn't use a palette like this a lot, but I think it really fits to Bennett and also his eye color. I forgot to record the shading process for this one. For the shading, I went with a cell shading method, but I also blended a few shadows. And instead of including just one level of shading, I sometimes use 2 levels of shading. For the highlights on the hair, I always went with these zigzag shapes, and I often also included a highlight line on the outer lines of the hair. and the plaster on the nose makes it really noticeable that it's Bennett in my opinion. And if Bennett was in the modern world a student or in school, I think he would be a little similar to Razor, but instead of Razor being kind of a little more laid back, he would always try his best, but then he would always end up in these bad situations somehow and be a little helpless, even though he tries his best to do the things on his own. And I think he would also accidentally oversleep or something like that. Bennett would generally try his best at everything, but he wouldn't be very good at most subjects probably. He would try his best at everything, but he wouldn't be that smart, so he wouldn't have excellent grades. But he'd still be very charming and also outgoing, and he would also make a lot of jokes. I think he would also be kind of a nerd. I think he and Razor would hang out together and also talk about nature or something like that. Could imagine him having a lot of plants at home that he takes care of. Next up we have Albedo, and for him I went with this pretty static pose, and it's probably the most regular one, not very dynamic. He's standing and holding a notebook. You will see that during this drawing process the legs are very long, but I only corrected this in the end, since for some reason I only really noticed it then. But yeah, if you look at it, the upper body is less than half as tall as the lower body, which I probably just got used to it while drawing and then only saw it afterwards. For his outfit, he wears a cardigan jacket over a white blouse, and then he also has this turtleneck shirt underneath. In general, I used Pinterest a lot for the outfit and palette inspiration. He also wears white long jeans and more formal shoes, not just sneakers. I really enjoyed drawing Albedo's hair. I really like his hairstyle. For the palette I went with a blue and brown palette, and I also included some light on his jeans to kind of make it look a little nicer. While coloring, you can see that I changed the background color so that it wouldn't be white, and I like to go for a color that kind of fits to the palette of the clothes. You can also just use light gray. It also helps with, in general, making your character not appear too dark or too bright. At the end, for most of the drawings, I also added a soft light layer with gradients to portray the light a little more. I just did a clipping group over the whole drawing of the character and then filled in the color. And lastly, for the line art, I duplicated it in the end and made one layer soft light and changed the lower layer to the soft light blending mode and added a slight blur for it. You can do that to make your drawing appear more soft. I think Albedo as a student in the modern world would definitely be very good at science as a subject and maybe also maths. And in general, he would probably be good at most subjects, but he also would be rather shy. Differently from Razor or Bennett, he probably would never be late. He would be very organized, but he wouldn't talk to others that much. He would just be this very good student. And while drawing the cardigan, I wasn't sure about the length of it, and at first I didn't even know if I wanted to do a jacket over the blouse he's wearing. I only decided to add it at the end. I wanted to maybe make it look more like a lab coat at first and have it be even longer, but then I decided to go with this over the hip length. That's it for the second video of drawing Genshin Impact characters with modern outfits. You can comment what you think the characters in here would be like in the modern world as students, or in general maybe also what kind of jobs they would have and which of the drawings you like the most. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, you can like and subscribe. It would make me very glad, and have a great day. Goodbye.